Hello everyone, welcome back to Touch the Fire Twice. I'm Joshua, and I'm here today to do a Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company Spring 2025 candle haul. But first, if you're new to Touch the Fire Twice, welcome. My mission here is to share my love and passion for fine home fragrance as an enthusiast, an educator, a reviewer, to inspire you to increase your own fragrance knowledge and understanding, ultimately enhancing the scent memories that you create. If you want to learn more about what I do, why I do it, and how I do it, you can check out my website at TouchTheFireTwice.com, and please do give me a follow over on Instagram, also at TouchTheFireTwice. But for now, let's dig into this haul. So today I've got officially 7 candles, but 6 different fragrances from the Spring 1 collections within Bath & Body Works. So first up we have Sugared Churro. This is in the Tropical Traditions collection. You've got the colored glass here. You've got the label there that looks perhaps like a tapestry or maybe even a painting. Notes on Sugared Churro are glazed crumble, brown sugar, and cinnamon. A couple things I'll say there. First of all, those notes could not be more general or generic. But then churros are typically a batter that is extruded into hot oil, similar in style to the way funnel cakes are made, but a bit denser, almost more cakey of a batter. And they are very popular in Mexico, sold on street corners, in restaurants, everywhere you could imagine, sometimes served alongside a dulce de leche dipping sauce. I'm getting my nose on it. This is nice, but the scent fragrance itself is equally generic to the notes in the sense that this doesn't really smell like a churro, but churros are going to pretty much smell like a donut, a cinnamon sugar donut. So if we think to the cinnamon sugar donut candle at Bath & Body Works, now sold as cinnamon spiced vanilla, that usually has cinnamon, sugar, and that fried dough note to it. Not just a dough, not just a batter, but truly that fried aspect to it. You don't get any of that in here. And churros, I've yet to see a baked churro. I'm sure they exist to be somewhat healthier, but traditionally they are deep fried. And with that sort of generic, general fragrance that this candle is serving, we now know that this is simply a repackage of a candle that came out in the summer 2024 semi-annual sale, and that was toasted cinnamon sugar. Even the notes on the bottom were pretty much the same: warm cinnamon, brown sugar crumble, and sweet glaze. And that candle actually was most likely a repackage of pumpkin cinnamon bun from years past. They could almost go in any direction with it because it's not specific. And in that sense, I don't love you can see Beatrice back here, literally digging at her, yeah, I said your name, digging at her chair with her little steps to get up there. And she's going to pull the back cushion down because it's not enough to be on a chair on a nice cushion. She has to be on the back cushion with a blanket, but she's thinking about it now. So let's see. What's she gonna do? And there we go. Oh, no, you didn't pull it down, B. All right, let's let the old woman be. But when it's something like this that is just generic enough that they can throw whatever label on it within any collection they want, I think that's lazy. But what do you expect for a $10 candle, right? So frankly, I enjoyed the toasted cinnamon sugar when I burned it almost a year ago for just a nice, sweet, kind of generic morning scent with my coffee. But getting my nose on this and the more I smell this, it's kind of weak. I think I might actually end up exchanging it. I've not burned it. I typically will not exchange candles if they have been burned, unless there is a quality issue with the burn. In this case, I probably will exchange it just because it's not good enough, and frankly, I don't want to support the fact that it's now a sugared churro when it's just generic toasted cinnamon sugar. Okay, moving on, less of a rant coming up. Let's get into the 2 candles, though I actually have 3, from the Daily Moments collection. So we'll start with the one fragrance that I actually do have 2 candles of. That is the Self-Care Sundae. I actually purchased the single wick because I wasn't certain of the fragrance when they had the 10 off all candles. And so I paid whatever, $6.95 for this candle. I'll get into the actual review when I sniff the big one because that's going to give a better strength and throw even on cold there. This burned quite poorly. It never pulled out evenly, not entirely unexpected for a single wick candle in general, but there are certainly some single wick candles of this diameter that are able to pull out. Bath & Body Works is quite hit or miss, more so misses with those. And so for $7, it's not the end of the world. I won't return this because of that. I did burn it, I think, 2 times, but I don't know that I'll burn it again because it frankly didn't really have a whole lot of throw anyway, so it's not really worth the time babying it. When I have a luxury candle that doesn't fully pull out, that happens with Sniff, it can happen with Lofco, Boy Smells. Everyone almost except Diaz and Durja typically burns all of the way across because it's quite narrow. Even Diptyque, $76 a candle, will not always, in fact, often will not pull out evenly without having some sort of foil around the lid. But for those candles, I might love those fragrances enough that it's worth it. For this, the throw isn't good enough. For $7, I'm not gonna baby this. It will probably, I don't know, I'll give it away if a friend wants it, but it's really trash. Otherwise, I'm just not gonna waste my time. I don't have melters and things to do it that way. I don't really have the space or desire to go down that realm, So that's a miss, but I wasn't shocked by it. But we'll get into the fragrance with the traditional 3-wick candle. So this sort of Daily Moments collection, apparently there's a morning, afternoon, and evening to these. I did purchase, again, 2 of them, one from the morning and then this one from, I suppose, maybe the evening collection, Self-Care Sunday for the, Sunday scaries that people claim to get, or I guess actually get. And these all have just a little bit of a quotable quote there on the back, or a mantra or advice. And this one says, breathe to reset. Notes on Self-Care Sunday are cozy mint, evening amber, and lemon. Okay, amber, there's no evening amber, so it's amber. Cozy mint, again, they love their adjectives, but they're pretty generic adjectives as well. I'm not trying to hate on Bath & Body Works, but like, come on. Tell me a story or just give me the notes. What kind of mint is it? Is it peppermint? Is it spearmint? Is it water mint? That would be helpful. Amber, okay, amber, and then lemon, and lemon zest, lemon juice, the whole lemon, Meyer lemon. Details would be helpful, more so than, cozy or evening. I digress. Getting my nose on it. I have burned this one, I think 2 or 3 times. A typical Bath & Body Works burn. The wicks get a little crazy there. They will need trim before I light them again. Not a whole lot of sooting. Solid throw, your average Bath & Body Works performance. I like this, I don't love this. It reminded me a little bit of leaning towards an aromatherapy fragrance, perhaps because you have mint and lemon. Those are very natural essences that are often used to either energize or relax. And it felt somewhat similar to a candle I loved from back in the day, Lemon Mint Leaf, which had more like verbena and lemon and a straight spearmint in there, not really so much a peppermint, not very mentholated. And so it gave me those vibes initially. The amber, I suppose, is there. I know a lot of folks are saying they don't smell it. I do, because we have to remember that amber is not always going to be, musky, heavy grandma fragrance. It is going to have a powdery, vanilla-like aspect to it. And amber accord can be created using things like benzoin, tonka, labdanum, natural essences that do bring that warm, honeyed, a little bit animalic, maybe a little bit leathery, but powdery, soft, sensual notes. And I do get a bit of that in here, certainly from the powdery aspect. Mint and lemon are not powdery, but get your nose on this. And I think you will see there's a powdery sweetness because that lemon is actually quite sweet in here. But I do think some of the dry, powdery fragrance comes from the amber. And again, I like this overall. Actually, the lemon, now that I'm smelling it, comes off a bit cleaner-like. Not super fresh, authentic, but a bit sharp, almost astringent, the way that sometimes cleaner lemon does. And I noticed that most in the hand soap. I did purchase the foaming hand soap in Self-Care Sunday because it felt sort of minty and relaxing and calm and whatever. And when I use that, it just smells a little bit like, almost like a Lysol kitchen wipe cleaner, that sort of lemon that's just a bit sharp and artificial. I kind of go back and forth on this. I like the idea of it more than the actual execution of it. I think with a couple of tweaks, it could be a nice fragrance, but frankly for me, they could do Self-Care Sunday and pull in Tranquil Mint from the Aromatherapy collection back in the day, which came out as, I believe, the Aromatherapy Refresh Sage fragrance from a couple of years ago. They could go into the archives and bring Lemongrass Cardamom or Bergamot Coriander. Top tier, hard to find better aromatherapeutic fragrant blends across any brand. Frankly, they are beautiful fragrances, and they of course killed them 10 years ago when we haven't seen them. I'd love to see something more like that in a candle that's supposed to be a Self-Care Sunday that wants to be in that direction with the mint, with the amber, with that lemon, the sophistication. This is solid. I don't know that it's good enough to come back. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a one and done. So that is the Self-Care Sunday. The one other from that collection that I did purchase is Sunkissed Morning. The inspirational moment or mantra for this one is, today is the beginning. And Sunkissed Morning has notes of golden dewdrops, bright citrus, and morning light. Okay, I am not a fan when they throw things like sunlight, sun, wind, ozone, fine, ocean spray, fine. There's things we can get in there, but morning light, all right, that's the mood, moment, memory, space, place, or vibe. They want us to feel that brightness. Give me a fragrance note. Bright citrus, again, so generic. What kind of citrus? Golden dewdrops, within what? Within some sort of floral, but what? The sweetness. They're so generic because they don't want to turn someone off of saying, oh, I don't like blah, 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 so I'm not going to try this. But I don't know why. I'm so ranting on this. I don't hate it. It's just step your game up. Getting my nose on it. It is very nice, quite generic. There's a sweet kind of juiciness to this. Almost, frankly, like a tropical. This is close to a tropical fragrance. This isn't your general spring, bright, fresh candle. This leans more, there could be some pineapple or maybe even guava in here. There are some fruit juices. So those golden dewdrops, okay, is that like the dew from, I don't want to say honeysuckle, but from some sort of tropical floral, I would say. The citrus could be orange, maybe something kind of sweeter, like a tangerine clementine. Fairly sugary, not the crunchy sugar, but quite sweet across the board. And morning light, all right, so that's just supposed to be the vibe that this evokes for us. Somewhat airy, not quite zippy, not the that you get from much zest or bergamot or something airy like eucalyptus might bring. So this is nice. It really is just, though, a sweet citrus, some tropical juices, and a small hint of floral from the nectar of some tropical flower. I like it. I don't know if I will burn it, actually, the more I'm smelling it. And in fact, the wicks are a bit off. Of course, we know now the wicks are often not centered Bath & Body Works. You can see how the top wick there is much closer to the edge than the others. The whole little triangle there should be down maybe half an inch or so for a truly even burn. This is one of those ones that's kind of close to, this could be a generic candle in any brand and any collection, so we'll see. Moving on to 3 other candles that I generally like more. I hate to be such a negative Nelly in this video, but such is life. Next we have from the Garden View Floral Collection, Bergamot and Birch. This collection was a miss in general for me in the sense that I didn't really care for any of the other fragrances in them. There were some returning, some new. I liked some of the effort that went into it, but they could do some interesting weird stuff like back in the day when they had honeydew thyme, sage and cucumber, blackberry grapefruit, straight up spring, green grass, garden party, flower shop. Name anything from that, sort of golden era that would be amazing in a collection like Garden View Florals. But then they brought out something like this, which is frankly not even floral. Notes on Bergamot and Birch are vibrant bergamot, black amber, and birchwood. I do like the lid. It's very unique and it does look sort of like a zoom in on a flower. Getting my nose on this, I did burn it once or twice. I like this. It leans sort of herbal, fresh, not quite garden, almost more like forest, like a Pacific Northwest if they had to call it out. Birch, that wood with the characteristic white bark, often has a bit of a green, fresh, almost winter mint aspect. In this, I think we're getting a true white birch, crisp, slightly sweet, woody aroma. It is certainly there. Black amber, again, black amber, we're just talking, it's gonna be a slightly darker amber, so maybe there's a little bit more of the labdanum versus a tonka or benzoin or whatever notes they're bringing into amber, likely a synthetic, ambroxan or something like that. Vibrant bergamot, of course, bergamot is native to the Calabria region of southern Italy. It is that green, knobbly citrus that has a really bright, tart, almost lime-like essence. It gives you a bit of that airy pop fizziness that is in so many fragrances. And I do get a bit of that in here. It leans almost sort of like the oils within the zest or almost the rind. So a little bit darker than just a light, bright, fresh, sweet lemon or something like that. This is interesting, but I think, and I know this has been out a few times over the past couple of years, but for me, this actually feels like it may be a repackage or a repackage with a twist of a failed test scent from literally, we're talking 2013, so 12 years ago. I actually did a review in, I think, April of 2013 of a test collection. You can see here these 4 candles. And of that test collection, a few of them ended up being renamed and now have become classics. So I think Sage and Cedarwood in this collection became Black Tie, which has been around for years. And then Sandalwood Citrus, I believe, actually came out as Sandalwood Citrus. And I think this could actually be the Whitewater Birch. Whitewater Birch was said to be a fresh, clean blend of marine notes, woods, and just a bit of citrus. So, okay, we got some citrus, we got some woods, and the amber they didn't call out back then. I think it's, if not spot on, very, very similar. Certainly that birch is the exact same type of birch. So in that sense, for me, this is more of a forest fragrance, not really a garden view fragrance, and certainly not a floral. So it is interesting. I will burn through it, but I also don't love it. I frankly was struggling. I wanted to purchase some spring candles from Bath & Body Works, and it was like whittling down, what do I dislike the least almost, except for the next 2. I was kind of excited about those 2. Getting into the final 2 here from the Neutrals collection. First up is Pistachio Milk and Honey with notes of toasted pistachio, cozy shea butter, and whipped vanilla musk. So right from the jump, we know there that this is not going to be literally a nutty pistachio milk with sweet honey, straightforward like a foodie scent. Can still be gourmand because it does have those edible aspects or notes to it to be warm and evocative of something comforting that you may eat. However, the addition of shea butter and the vanilla musk is going to make this something that is a conceptual gourmand, not foodie fragrance. I think that's something oftentimes people forget is they think gourmand means bakery or it means food. And again, that's a sort of subcategory of gourmands. And while all sort of foodie bakery fragrances could be considered gourmand, not all gourmands are going to be edible just because they have something like vanilla in them that is going to make them soft and warm, because they can be conceptual and have things like musk and shea butter in them. So this is a true gourmand in that aspect. Even my nose on it, it's nice. It's very, very light. I burned through this quite a bit. It gets a wild burn. You can see actually it's fairly sooty there. The wicks get very long. I didn't burn it for more than 3 hours max, but it really got those crazy dancing flames and quite a good bit of soot on here, which is disappointing, because even with that wild burn, the throw is probably a 4 at best. It's one of those candles where you forget it is lit and you see it and you go, I guess I can smell it, but not really, not worth buying. The fragrance itself is decent, however. I would say you get a bit of that sweet nuttiness. They say pistachio milk. It's not so much, pistachio butter or crushed pistachios or roasted, toasted pistachios. It really is, think of almond milk, for example, cashew milk, any sort of nut that has been ground up, mixed with water, strained, and you're getting just some essence of the nut flavor in there, is really what this brings, the pistachio milk. So not milk in the sense that cow's milk added with a pistachio flavoring, but more so just an essence of pistachios. The honey, this is not drippy, cloying, sweet honey. If it's there, it's just a drop to add a little bit of warm sweetness. And then they say the shea. I do get the shea butter. Shea butter is gonna be soft, creamy. In itself, gonna have a slightly nutty aroma. It adds a smooth, buttery richness to fragrance with some warm, milky undertones. And I can get that in here. That adds that cozy vibe to it. There was an almond flower fragrance that I really liked at Homeworks years ago that had some shea in there. There was a rice flower and shea body care fragrance from Bath & Body Works in the ye old 1990s, early 2000s version of Bath & Body Works that I really enjoyed. It's comforting, it's soft, almost powdery and warm, but not in the floral aspect, which I really appreciate. And then when they say whipped vanilla musk, if there's musk, it is the smallest amount. This is not super sultry. This is not animalic. Just a little bit of richness in there, but a minute amount, really covered by the shea butter and the nuttiness of the pistachio and whatever that vanilla is in there as well. So it's a solid fragrance, but like a lot of these I've said, very generic. You could pop a random Pantene Pro V shampoo bottle open at Walmart and probably smell a fragrance that is similar to this. No hate on any of that, but it's sort of, I usually want a candle that's gonna be really unique or rich or strong or intriguing, and not like just any shampoo that you could find in any hotel. And the final one from the Neutrals collection that I purchased, White Iris and Cedarwood, with notes of iris petals, warm cedarwood, and fresh bergamot. I will say I really love this color, not that I buy for the packaging, but this is a really nice, just sort of not mint, not sage, just a really soft, I suppose, muted spring green. I burned this a handful of times, got a much cleaner burn than the pistachio milk and honey. Has a nice solid strength on cold. When burning, it's not nearly as strong as I would have expected from how it smells and continues to smell on cold. So in that aspect, it's a bit disappointing for me because I was hoping this would be a really nice elevated fragrance. This is one of those rare borderline luxury fragrances that sometimes Bath & Body Works will experiment with and just throw in a random collection to us. And I think this is one that really is elevated and unique compared to many of the fragrances that they delivered in the Spring 1 collection. Thinking of the notes, iris petals actually not used very commonly in fine fragrance. They have a really delicate faint aroma, soft, powdery, a slightly fresh, airy quality. Typically what you're going to see is orris, which is the root of the iris. It is a really rich, powdery scent, but also creamy. So I love the juxtaposition of creamy and powdery. Also slightly woody with hints of violet, and really a suede-like smoothness. So I would actually say this feels a little bit more like orris, or the root of the iris flower, because I do get a deep powdery aspect to this without being the choke you out powder. It's like a deep, creamy powder, luxurious and velvety, not particularly light, airy, and thin, which I would expect from the petals. So maybe it's actually the petals that they're trying to evoke here, but I kind of think that they're saying that because they want people to think flower petals and not the root of flowers. Cedarwood, of course, is gonna bring that warm, almost camphoraceous sweetness from a wood. And then bergamot, as I said earlier, that bright, fresh pop of an airy citrus. For me, this is nicely balanced. It is very much that iris, very, very strong, which I love in fine fragrance. If there's cedarwood and there is orris in a perfume, I'm likely going to really be drawn toward it. And so this, frankly, it's a bit straightforward because it really is the iris with some cedarwood, perhaps that bergamot there just to brighten it a bit. But this is a traditional iris heavy fragrance, which I like. They get props for that because it is authentically iris with some cedar. Could have more cedar almost, because this could almost be billed as just an iris fragrance when it comes to, sometimes Bath & Body Works or other fragrance houses will sell a fragrance as one note when we know that it's almost never actually that one note. There's usually more in there to support that one note. And this could be just iris if they wanted to call it that or put it in a hand soap. I like it. Burning, it didn't do a whole lot for me, unfortunately. So it is a one and done, even though I really love iris. Maybe it's more of something that's meant for body perfume for me versus home fragrance. Hard to say. I'd love to find an orris root iris flower home fragrance. For now, this is a good foray into something that is kind of more elevated in that way. So that is my in-depth sniff and I guess comparison review of these 6 fragrances from the Spring 1 Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Collection. Let me know your thoughts on these. Any others? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Agree, disagree? I'd love to hear. And until next time, take care.